On July 19, 2025, a Memphis summer night meant for laughter, music, and the simple joys of youth was shattered by the sudden crack of gunfire. What should have been a night of celebration and friendship instead became a date forever marked by tragedy in the hearts of all who were there. In a matter of seconds, a joyful pool party, filled with the sounds of splashing water and carefree laughter, descended into chaos and heartbreak. The air, once alive with music and conversation, was pierced by screams and the frantic rush of young people searching for safety. 18-year-old Corey Adams, a rising star on the Ole Miss football team, was among those at the party. Known for his determination and infectious smile, Corey was a beacon of hope for his family and community. But that night, his dreams and his future were stolen in an instant, cut down before he could even begin to realize his full potential. This wasn't a random crime in a dark alley, but a calculated attack at a suburban gathering of young people, friends and classmates who had come together to celebrate the summer. The violence struck at the heart of a community that believed itself to be safe, leaving everyone questioning how such horror could erupt in their own backyard. Police recovered around 40 shell casings from the scene, grim evidence of a terrifying ambush. The sheer number of shots fired spoke to the brutality of the attack and the fear that gripped everyone present that night. 100 partygoers, many still in their teens, were thrust into a nightmare, their innocence lost to sudden violence. The trauma of that night would linger, haunting their memories and changing the course of their lives forever. Corey, a freshman defensive lineman, had worked his whole life for a shot at the NFL. From early morning practices to late-night study sessions, he poured his heart into every challenge, determined to make his family proud and inspire those who looked up to him. He was home for a short break, eager to reconnect with loved ones and recharge before the next season. No one could have imagined that his return would end not in celebration, but in heartbreak, and that his name would become a headline in a story of senseless loss. Corey's death wasn't just another statistic. It was the loss of a symbol of hope for his family, his friends, and the entire community. His absence left a void that could never be filled, a reminder of all the promise that was taken away. Corey's story was meant to be one of triumph, not tragedy. He was supposed to be the kid who made it out, the athlete who inspired others to chase their dreams, no matter the odds. Instead, his story became a stark reminder of how quickly a bright future can be consumed by darkness. The dreams he carried, the goals he set, and the hope he inspired were all extinguished in a single, senseless moment. The shockwaves of his murder reached far beyond that Memphis street, touching everyone who believed in his dream. Corey's legacy now lives on in the memories of those who loved him, and in the urgent call for change that his loss demands. Cordova, a quiet Memphis suburb, known for its serene streets and close-knit community, was the unlikely setting for a mass shooting that would shatter the peace and leave a lasting scar. About 100 college-aged friends gathered for a summer pool party, expecting nothing but fun and laughter. It was a night to unwind, to celebrate the end of exams and the beginning of summer. Corey Adams, a promising young athlete, was there, enjoying a rare break from the grind of Division I football. He was the life of the party, his laughter echoing through the night. The night was alive with music and laughter until it wasn't. The air was filled with the sounds of joy, the clinking of glasses, and the beats of the latest hits. Without warning, gunfire erupted, sending the crowd scattering in panic. The joyous atmosphere turned into chaos in an instant. The party became a desperate scramble for survival as bullets tore through the night. Friends who were just moments ago dancing and laughing were now diving for cover, hiding behind anything they could find. When the shooting stopped, devastation remained, 4 wounded, dozens traumatized. The once vibrant party scene was now a grim tableau of emergency responders and shocked partygoers. The ground was littered with shell casings, a grim testament to the violence that had erupted. Forensic investigators worked through the night, marking evidence and trying to piece together what had happened. Corey Adams was found fatally wounded, the greatest tragedy of the night. His friends and family were left in shock, unable to comprehend the sudden loss. What began as a celebration ended in bloodshed and heartbreak. The decorations that once symbolized joy now stood as silent witnesses to the horror that had unfolded. The community of Cordova was left reeling, forever changed. Neighbors gathered in disbelief, trying to make sense of the senseless violence that had shattered their peace. The promise of summer was replaced by fear and loss. The pool, once filled with laughter and joy, now stood empty, a haunting reminder of the night that changed everything. Corey's death marked the end of innocence for everyone there. Friends and family gathered to mourn, laying flowers and lighting candles, trying to find solace in each other as they faced an uncertain future. Frantic 911 calls flooded in, each one more urgent than the last. The operators, trained for chaos but rarely seeing it at this scale, scrambled to keep up as the lines lit up with terrified voices. In the quiet suburb of Cordova, the night had suddenly turned unrecognizable. As chaos erupted in Cordova, sirens pierced the night air, echoing off houses and drawing neighbors from their beds. People gathered on lawns, confusion and fear etched on their faces as police raced to the scene. Police arrived to a scene of abandoned cars and scattered party remnants, evidence of a night gone horribly wrong. The street, usually quiet and orderly, was now littered with red cups, shoes, and shattered glass, the aftermath of a celebration turned tragedy. Their first task, secure the area and piece together what happened. Officers cordoned off the block, moving methodically from yard to yard, searching for clues in the darkness. Investigators began the painstaking process of reconstructing the night's events. 4 young men, wounded but alive, made it to hospitals. Their injuries were not life-threatening. Paramedics worked quickly, stabilizing the victims and rushing them to emergency rooms, where doctors and nurses took over the fight to save them. By Monday, 3 had been released, left to process the trauma. They returned home, faces pale and eyes haunted, struggling to make sense of the violence that had shattered their sense of safety. But Corey Adams was missing from the wounded. His name was on everyone's lips, his absence a growing shadow as families and friends waited for news. He was found nearby, fatally shot in a car, his life ending on a suburban street, far from the football field where he once dreamed of glory. The discovery sent a fresh wave of grief through the community. Paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. The flashing lights illuminated a tragedy that would haunt Cordova for years to come. The investigation shifted from assault to homicide. Detectives knew they were now searching for a killer, not just answers. Detectives began collecting evidence and canvassing the neighborhood. Every door was knocked, every witness questioned, as officers tried to piece together the puzzle. 40 shell casings told a story of overwhelming firepower. The sheer number of shots fired stunned even veteran officers, hinting at a level of violence rarely seen in these streets. The community's peace was shattered, replaced by a desperate search for answers. Fear and sorrow mingled as neighbors gathered, trying to comfort one another and understand how this could happen here. The hunt for Corey's killer had begun, and Cordova would never be the same. Corey Adams was more than a victim. He was a force of nature. At 6'4", 235 pounds, he dominated as a defensive end, earning a spot at Ole Miss. For kids from his New Orleans neighborhood, football was hope, and Corey embodied that dream. Coaches and teammates saw his relentless drive and potential. But Corey was more than an athlete. He was a friend, brother, and role model. His high school remembered him as a great young man, not just a player. He inspired pride in his family and community. Corey's loss is measured not just in lost games, but in lost possibilities. He'll never sack a quarterback in the SEC or give back to his hometown. The bullets that killed him erased a future full of promise. The world lost not just a star athlete, but a beloved human being. In the days after the shooting, Memphis was gripped by uncertainty. The Shelby County Sheriff's Office launched a full-scale homicide investigation, but progress was slow. No arrests, no suspects, just a trail of chaos and grief. Chief Deputy Anthony Buckner admitted, "We have far more questions than answers." Detectives faced a chaotic crime scene and a crowd too panicked to provide clear accounts. Was Corey the target, or caught in crossfire? Was this a planned attack? The presence of both rifles and pistols suggested coordination, not a simple dispute. Investigators scoured the neighborhood for surveillance footage, hoping for a breakthrough. Somewhere in the digital evidence, they hoped to find the clue that would lead to justice. The biggest obstacle for investigators was silence. With 100 people at the party, someone saw something, but few were willing to talk. Fear of retaliation and distrust of police kept witnesses quiet. Chief Deputy Buckner pleaded for help, urging anyone with information to come forward. Anonymous tip lines and cash rewards were offered to break the wall of silence. Detectives worked to build trust and reassure witnesses of their safety. The investigation's success depended on the community's courage to speak up. Without witnesses, justice for Corey Adams would remain out of reach. Corey's death devastated his family, who had supported his every step. Their private grief became a public tragedy. His high school in New Orleans mourned the loss of a role model and friend. At Ole Miss, teammates and coaches grieved the loss of a promising new member. His empty locker became a symbol of stolen potential. The story resonated nationwide. Anyone who's cheered for a young athlete felt the loss. Social media overflowed with condolences, uniting strangers in shared sorrow. Corey's death was a painful reminder of hope lost to violence. The community's heartbreak echoed far beyond Memphis. The investigation left a cloud of unanswered questions. Why did this happen? Was Corey targeted, or was it random? The scale and planning suggested something more sinister than a simple argument. Who brought rifles and pistols to a suburban party, and why? The shooters vanished, leaving the community fearful and suspicious. With so many witnesses, why has no one identified the attackers? The silence breeds mistrust and frustration, while Corey's family waits for justice. The community is left hoping for answers and fearing the violence could return. Corey Adams' story reveals the true cost of gun violence, not just in numbers but in lost dreams. He was on the path to greatness, inspiring others with his journey. His murder ended a legacy before it began, traumatizing survivors, family, and community. The violence left a wound that won't heal. We can't let ourselves become numb to these tragedies. Corey was more than a headline. He was a son, friend, and teammate. His story must spark conversation and action. We must ask why these tragedies keep happening, and what we can do to stop them. Corey's legacy can be a call to demand change and protect young dreams. We owe it to him to make sure every promising star gets the chance to shine.